Okay guys, hey, thought I'd do a little video of starting up the truck, getting ready to go to work. It's a cold start up, hadn't been run since this morning, about 8 hours ago. Thought I'd just show you the routine, how quick and easy it is. First off, I just take loose this dump cap right here. That's replacement of the ball valve a lot of guys use. Turn on the blower. Take off the fill lid. Do this often enough that I know about how much wood to put in there, so I don't have too much left over for the startup. Simply move some pieces out of the metal, get it closer down to the char. What I do, I save a bunch of junk mail, newspapers and such. I've never had a little torch to light it with. Or you just leave my lighters laying here on top of the hay filter. Fire up the paper. Stick a couple pieces in there. Don't take much to get it going. Putting my poker back up. Fire's going really good. Loosen up the wood is already in the hopper. Just dump enough wood in. That was only a piece of a bag. Enough wood in there to get to work, all I'm planning on doing. See about how much I have in there. You guys have built one of these. About 7.5, 8 miles to my job. Put the lid back on. Everything's secure there. Lid's on. Lighter's laying on top of the hay filter. I'm gonna run back in, get my lunch. I'm gonna leave the blower on while I run and get my lunch and my bag for my computer, and I'll be back in a minute. come back. I don't know if you can see it or not, but you got the smoke coming out of the suction blower. Turn it off. That's my pusher blower switch is broke. I was loading up those limbs in the truck coming home from work the other day and broke my switch. Hardly ever use that anyway. Put the cap back on. And we're ready to get down the road. Getting in the Dakota. I'm doing this with a webcam hooked to my laptop, so it's a little shaky and jerky. What we got to do. Now what I usually do is just turn on my gauges for my thermocouples. 166 degrees, leaving the gasifier in the 8-inch crossover. This is out of the top of the exchanger going into the cooling rails. Hopper temperature. Set my timing for gasoline. Turn the fuel pump on. Open up the air valves. Roll down the window because it's 100 degrees outside and the windows have been up. And crank her up. Gear. Got a big hill here just below my house, and I'll show you how to utilize that a little bit. I get up pretty good speed on gasoline. Start shutting my air valves a little bit, so I'll start pulling on the gasifier. Starting to run rich. Turn my gasoline pump off, dropping over this hill. Not running at all. Not hardly hitting. Pulling on the gasifier. Now starting to pick up the gas. Put my air valve out a little bit. Temperatures. On street. On wood gas now. Went back up, turn the AC on. And here we go. Temperature is above about 350 on the gas leaving the gasifier. 108 in the hopper, 227 going into the cooling rails. Seems like when it's a little bit on the startup cold side, I like to run it a little bit rich because I'm going to be pulling up to a stop down here where I get on the highway, and it seems like you don't have it just a little bit on the rich side. It wants to lean out when you go to take off because I got a steep upgrade to go up a overpass here. I don't know if that helps put a little more richer gas in the hoppers, the hay filter and the condensate tanks for a little bit of reservoir, but it seems to help for the when you're standing on the gas starting out. Here we are on the highway. Pretty steep upgrade. You don't want to, seems like you don't want to push real hard on the throttle whenever it's cold like this. Because like I say, it does try to lean out a little bit. Oh, I never turned my timing up. There we go. makes a lot of difference. Like putting it in passing gear. Temperature's rising. And here we are, just cruising along. Vacuum gauges. They're working just about almost perfect on a 2-to-1 ratio. I've driven at about 230 miles since I did that major clean out of everything, new hay, complete clean out of the wood hopper, whole deal. I have noticed that the exchanger is working a lot better since I cleaned all the soot, scale and stuff off the heat exchanger. I was only getting about 100 degrees differential. Now when I'm running down the highway running about 900 to 1,000 degrees out of the gasifier, I'm getting around 300 degrees differential from where it's leaving the gasifier into the exchanger to where it's entering the cooling rails. That's where my thermocouples are mounted. That's about the temperature that runs on my way to work most of the time, because I'm not hardly on the gas all the way. 45 mile an hour speed limit. I'm off the gas right now, so going a little bit over the speed limit. I don't know if you can hear or not. The truck's running as smooth as can be. Found that just running through town and stuff, slower RPMs, it seems like it's better when I back the timing off just a hair. When it's all the way advanced where it runs the best down the highway, it seems like it's a little bit erratical, just driving smooth when you're running low RPMs. So I back the timing off a little bit for town driving. Still runs fine. It makes it idle better and it's smooth. Looks like we'll get a chance to see here because got to stop kind of abruptly. Temperature's cooling down while we're sitting here at the stoplight. Idling anywhere from 600 to 800. Taking off on the gas. Flow of traffic speed right there. I have no air fuel ratio mixture gauge. I've never had one. I think you can pretty well tell where you're at just by the sound. And I think I probably wouldn't pay much attention to it anyway, because like when I'm running down the highway, I'll pull it out to as lean as possible, pulling the least amount of vacuum on the hoppers I can. That's got to be just like opening a damper on a wood stove or closing it. Wood ought to last longer. I run it pretty much on the least amount of vacuum I can, still maintain whatever speed I want to maintain. You can hear by the engine how it's doing, lean or rich. And another stoplight. Just my luck. I'm not sure how long the time that I left the front door to start the gasifier up to the time we was heading down the road, but it's very minimal. I enjoy doing it. I've driven my Z71 very few times since I got this truck running, and I find myself kind of bored as I'm driving down the road. I'm always wanting to jack with something, fidget with something, and there's nothing to do but drive. kind of boring anymore. Except watch the gas gauge go down, that I do. It's amazing how quick it seems like now gas gauge goes down when you're driving something else after you've looked at one. I filled this up right after I got my hopper cleaned out and everything. I've driven it 200 and some odd miles to Grand Lake and back a couple times, or one time, and to work and back 4 times, and I'm still just off from full. After just using it to launch the fishing boat a couple times and for the cold startups for just a minute or so, it makes you sick to see the gas gauge go down just doing that amount. And I can't imagine what it'd be like to be off the wood and back to gasoline and to watch that gas gauge go down, because I think it'd just drive me crazy now. Got to go down tomorrow and put about $300 worth of diesel fuel in my dump truck. Come on, Wayne, think of something for me there. I need something to replace the diesel in my dump trucks. Here we go. Just leaving my timing set a little bit slow. Kind of hurts the power a little bit when it shifts to second gear or drive or whatever it was. Kind of bogs down for just a second. If I'd had my timing turned back up, it goes right ahead and picks on that. But just make it a little sluggish between shifts, but once you get going, it does plenty good, just like it is. Idle's smooth, idle's fine, let off the gas, no problems. I've got the Wayne Keith style throttle stop, or the string attached to the throttle. It's real handy. I see no problems with that at all. I like it. The truck actually just died there going over in the tracks. It does that sometimes. Don't know why. About need a 4-wheel drive to go down this street. There's where I stopped and cut some limbs on the way home from work the other morning. The ones you saw in the back of my Z71. Just brought my electric chainsaw to work with me, and I've been seeing that dead tree laid over there for a while, and I just couldn't resist. I think the property belongs to the railroad. Not sure. I'm sure whoever it belonged to, they appreciate me cutting it up anyway. It's been laying there for a while. Well, here's where I work at. Truck died. Okay, we're going again. There's the refinery where I work. We'll drive down this parking lot here just to verify what Wayne Keith said about how many pickups you see without nothing in the back. And this is Kansas. A lot of people drive trucks. Nothing. Old tires, old dog boxes. Some guys like to coon hunt. More trucks, nothing in them. Trucks all over the place. Hey Herb, there's a Cadillac. Another truck had a fishing pole in it. Trucks all over the place. So nothing going on inside of them. I'd looked at my mileage when I left the house. I could have told you exactly how far it was out here to work. Somewhere around 7 miles, 7.5 miles, I believe. Another truck with nothing in it. Imagine that. So anyway, I'm at work. Another thing to make it idle the best, I need to, when you're sitting there idling for a while, it seems like it works better to shut the air off a little more. Means that you don't have much vacuum pulling on the gasifier. I think you shut the air off more, it helps keep the flow going to the intake, and it helps it idle smoother. I'm adjusting my hand wheel here to see how slow we can get it to idle here after we got to work. Right around 500 RPM. And all the new guys building gasifiers and putting them in their trucks and stuff, if they read the message board and I'm commenting saying that my truck's running fine, I think there's been some impressions that it always runs fine. And maybe at that given time, it's only running fine for what I know, what kind of wood I have in it. It's not maybe running perfect, but I know it's running as good as it will with the wet wood that I've put in or something. And once you drive it long enough, you kind of learn how to deal with it, where your adjustments are. When you got wet wood in there, there's a fine line on where you want your air mixture, because it doesn't seem like it helps anything to push it all the way in or pull out. There's really a small sweet point that runs, and you have a lot less power, but you can adjust it where it will go down the road just fine and do what you need it to do. But just for the new guys, don't think that just because your truck's not running the way it does on gasoline that it's not running as good as it will, because the wood, that's the only problem I've really had is the moisture content of my wood affecting the performance of the truck. I have had some air leaks where I've had some rubber couplings, like leaving the heat exchangers headed down to the condensate tank, and I guess when I was driving down the highway and the temperatures was so hot and my heat exchanger wasn't working as well as it probably should. The gas was hot enough that everywhere I had a clamp on the PVC pipe, that it would eventually collapse the pipe and they would become loose, and I'd tighten them up. And a little bit later, and finally when I went to, I found actually swing set tubing that fit perfect inside the PVC couplings. I went to that anywhere the hose clamps was, which fixed the problem. And but by the time I'd finally take it off and change it out, that area where the hose clamps was probably from 2-inch down to 1.5 inch size. So, just air leaks. You got to keep them at a minimum, and I've got mine pretty well. I don't have no problems there. And as far as learning to remember to drain your condensate tank, like I had a little problem with a few days ago. But other than that, it works fine. Keep your wood dry. I got to a point one time I didn't have any dried. It was back when we was getting a bunch of wet weather and no sun, and I was running moisture content 25 to 30%, and it really does not run real well like that. It'll run. Just going back and forth to work like this, it's not that big of a deal, but when you're on the highway trying to pull hills and different variations of speeds and stuff, it's really, you got to jack with your air mixture and fuel ratio way more than you do when you got a nice consistent dry wood. But anyway, I got to be at work punched in at 7 o'clock. It's 10 till 7. Just thought you guys might like to see a normal cold startup and how simple it is. And I'll see you guys later. Been sitting here, temperatures are cooling down. Hopper temperature actually come up when the heat starts migrating back up through there, when you're not pulling into it, fresh air into it. The temperature in the 8-inch crossover is still 345, or is down to 345. And cooling rail where it goes into the cooling rail out of the heat exchanger is at 161 degrees, and then everything's slowly dropping. I've came out 5 hours, like at supper time sometime. I've came out and got in the truck and actually didn't have to relight it. That happened one time. A couple times I've had to. So I'd say 5 hours, 4 or 5 hours about max on a setting time before you have to relight it. But I think you saw that I just put just enough wood in there that usually, I bet if we look right now, I'm just about 2 or 3 inches above my char, my nozzles, which works out perfect for lighting it. I don't have the little torch to light it with, so I just move a few pieces and throw the paper in there, and it sucks it right down in there and fires off. I dump enough in there to get home, which is not very much. And it's just a easy routine. I've had people drive by out here while I'm in the parking lot, holler at me, "Boy, that looks like a lot of work." Well, you go to the gas station and I'll dump my wood in the truck. And I didn't have to work for it too much. And you got to go work for that gasoline money, and the self-satisfaction's worth way more than that. So I'm going to get that mounted in a frame one of these days. Everything's still like it was almost the day before we left for Argos, and it was all hurry up connections, and this is still, my vacuum gauges are still taped together just like it was when we went to Argos. You know, it's just, they work, and I just haven't had the time. I work on the side besides work out here. Right now we're working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week because of a fire we had, and trying to get the plant back up and running. I also have a thermometer in my wood hopper here, and you can see it's showing about 145 degrees